I haven't stopped thinking about K-pop Demon Hunter since I finished watching it, in no small part to how often I'm replaying the soundtrack. Beyond how visually stunning the film is, I found myself really invested in its central relationships, from Rumi's chaotic friendship with Mira and Zoe, to her connection with Jinu that is as awkward and funny as it is beautifully tragic. That being said, I do have a criticism for how the film handles its message of self-acceptance, but we'll get to that. Something I've never mentioned on this channel before is that I'm actually half Korean, and it's always been a big part of my life that took me a long time to feel comfortable with. Growing up in a Western country, I was always insecure about looking different than everyone else, not helped by the fact that I was definitely bullied on more than one occasion for it. Even in some movies I watched, Asians were portrayed as being weird with funny accents. It would take a long time for me to feel both comfortable and proud of who I was. A big contributor to this was actually my love of anime. Learning that people who look like me made these amazing things was a huge confidence booster, and yes, video games would come to play a similar role. That being said, these stories are still Japanese by design, so K-pop Demon Hunters being based on Korean characters immediately resonated with me. Seeing things like kimbap, shrimp chips, ramyeon, and other Korean or Asian dishes I grew up eating was really awesome. I also want to take a moment to talk about how Mira saying ramyeon made me unreasonably happy, because yeah, that's how it's pronounced in Korean. It's always been something I've avoided saying in public because most people refer to it by the Japanese pronunciation, that being ramen, and I didn't want people to think I was mispronouncing it. Growing up, I just sort of accepted the fact that Korea probably wasn't going to be something represented a lot, and had no idea how happy I would feel to see it, especially since the film tackles the very identity conflict I experienced growing up. Rumi feels a deep sense of isolation and shame due to being born half demon, something that is shunned by her family and peers. Her whole life she was basically taught to hate herself and was told the only way to be happy was to erase those things and conform. I so perfectly understand those feelings of isolation that come from being different, the way that you feel like you have to hide or wish away those parts of yourself to seem normal to everyone else. Golden being a song about wanting to complete their mission, but also doubles as a song of self-acceptance. One that Rumi can't sing as long as she rejects herself, and is only able to do so after meeting Jinu. Like Rumi, Jinu is half demon, a connection he intends to use to manipulate her but ends up instead finding the same comfort in her that she finds in him. For both these characters, their demon marks represent their shame and self-rejection. But in contrast to Rumi, who was born with her marks, Jinu's marks were a choice, a permanent reminder of his selfishness in abandoning his family, something he can only live with by choosing to erase those memories. Rumi wants to erase her demon to be fully human, Jinu wants to erase his human to be fully demon. Even their demon marks manifest as visual cracks. Both the idea of shattering personas as well as seeing yourself in literal pieces. But part of self-acceptance is not seeing yourself as many lesser pieces, but seeing yourself as one whole. The idea that you're less of something else for not being a pure version of it is deeply toxic. Now this is also where I feel that the film struggles to communicate its message a bit, because it's hard to feel self-acceptance when half of yourself is framed as evil and you're meant to destroy and repress it. Outside of Jinu, who is human to begin with, demons aren't really framed with empathy. Rumi attempts to show empathy during the film by asking if demons are simply prisoners, but the film doesn't seem to give a definitive answer. I assume the reason is because they still want to make an action movie about killing them, but it ends up reading as Rumi seeing herself as a special exception, as opposed to recontextualizing what being a demon really means. It's hard to accept Rumi's demon side when the film is also asking us to see demons as evil creatures that need to be destroyed. I'm not like other demons doesn't really read to me as true self-acceptance. Now since Rumi's father is also a demon, I imagine future films will delve into what demons are really like, so hopefully this idea will be explored more. I don't think there's a single character in this film I don't like. From the aggressive energy of Mira, the adorableness of Zoe, the sarcastic teasing of Jinu, and even the supportive nature of Bobby. Every interaction manages to be hilarious and sincere in a way that doesn't try to undercut emotional moments, unlike a lot of modern Western blockbusters. Pretty much every scene with all three girls in it is guaranteed to be a blast. They are such high-energy, likable protagonists that actually feel like a real group of supportive friends. And I like that they never shy away from saying how they feel directly. There's no subtlety or subtext to it. It's vulnerability in its purest form, and it never feels like it's talking down to you. However, the true highlight of the film for me was actually Jinu, where he spent his whole life acting selfish until he finally found someone who taught him radical empathy, choosing to give his life in the most selfless way possible, the ultimate testament to his humanity. And that's really the strongest message of the film. How the power of our love unites and strengthens us, that no matter how much our darker voices and impulses tempt us, it is always possible to rise above them. That the voices of hope and courage will move our hearts, where the voices of shame and hatred will be drowned out. That's all, thanks for watching.